So now y'all come into my kitchen. This is Cooking Today. Hi, welcome to Cooking Today. Happy holidays. It's December. Can you just believe it? I just love the jingly commercials on television. I love the Christmas music. I love the foods. I love the colder weather and the fire in the fireplaces. I just absolutely love it. Christmas shopping, being in my store is so fun during the holiday season. I just love it. And today I'm sharing with you a delicious pork tenderloin recipe that I actually made for my family last Christmas. And I thought, you know what? I need to share that recipe with y'all because it is inexpensive, it is extremely easy to make, and it's delicious. So many flavors, it's tender, it's hearty, it's meaty, and so many people like pork. And you know, sometimes after the holiday season, like Thanksgiving, we are just turkeyed out, aren't we? I mean, sometimes we are. And so that's kind of where I found myself last season, kind of turkeyed out. So when Christmas rolled around, I wanted to do something different. And this pork tenderloin just did the trick. One of the most important things that we have going that is just the biggest flavor blast in this pork is a marinade, okay? So what we have for our marinade is oil, 2 cups, 1/3 cup of soy sauce, and then we have 1/4 cup of honey, which is so good because what it does is it kind of acts like kind of an emulsifier. Of course it adds sweetness, we know that, but it kind of almost makes this marinade stick to the meat, and that's what we want, isn't it? Okay. If y'all weren't here, I would have licked that. I was tempted. You know, sometimes I just kind of forget you're here. Then, okay, let's see. So then we've got our liquids right here. Then what we need to do, what we say in the recipe is a shallot. Shallots are a little bit hard to find at your grocery. There are some specialty grocers that will sell a shallot. Just a really tiny, kind of smaller, milder onion. Kind of come in like a little bulb about this big. If you can't find a shallot, which actually at my grocery store for this particular grocery run, they didn't have one. So I'm just using just a little yellow onion. This is actually a Vidalia onion that's a little bit sweet. And you want to use about a kind of a heaping tablespoon or so. We're going to discard the marinade, but we want that flavor. Onions give so much flavor, and so that's why we just kind of want it swimming in our marinade. Am I doing this bad? I need to probably move around here a little bit. Then I've got my garlic, and we're just going to chop a little garlic. And again, it doesn't have to be tiny or perfect. We're just flavoring it, so I'm not going to go over and over and over this or care all that much. I just kind of want it to be, you know, cut open so that all those good oils and that good smell of that garlic gets in my marinade. That's all there is to that one, so you don't have to spend any time. See, that's kind of rough. Okay? Then we're going to do a little bit of salt. I'm not going to use my honey end. A little salt, a little pepper. Okay? Now, we're going to whisk this together. Now, what's important about this marinade is that we really want to give it a lot of time. Plenty, plenty, plenty of time to infuse this meat. It's one of the keys. It's just so good. And there's soy in here, and so I wouldn't want you to think that because of soy sauce that this is going to taste like an Asian dish. It doesn't at all. That soy sauce just really penetrates it and gives it a good salty, like savory bite. But then we're balancing it, you know, with that honey and a little bit of garlic. It's just really good. So I'm whisking this together, and then we're going to set this aside. I've also done this in a bowl with a pour spout because we are ultimately going to pour that right over our pork in a zip top bag. So if you're thinking in advance, you know, thinking ahead of time, it helps if you'll have something that's got a pour spout on it. Less mess, right? Okay, so now what we have is 2 pork tenderloin. Now I actually buy these in a pack of 2, and they're about 1.25 pounds each or so. And so I've just got these out of their bag. Get my knife. And then I'm going to trim any silver skin if there's anything on there, and then just a little bit of the extra fat. I don't love that. Sometimes it'll render, but we're not going to cook these very long. They're only going to cook in the oven for about 15 or 20 minutes. And so I like to cut off any excess fat. That one actually looks really good. So I'm going to leave that one. But see, I'm going to go ahead and take off just these little bits here. This is my dad's recipe. Did I tell you all that yet? I don't think I did. Oh, and it's a recipe in my new cookbook. It's on page 67, as a matter of fact. And this is my dad's recipe, and he's been making it forever, y'all. And I think he got it from a friend in Little Rock. He told me that actually when I put it in the cookbook, and I called it G-Dad's Tenderloin, because that's what my kids call my dad. And so they always love this recipe because he makes it for us when we go home. And I told him, I said, I put that, G-Dad's Tenderloin recipe in my cookbook. It's on page 67. And he said, well, I actually got that like 20 years ago from someone in Little Rock. So anyway, I've altered the recipe just a little bit to make it even mine, a little bit different than what my dad did. It's just really good. So all I have to say is this recipe has been floating around, variations of it, for probably 30 or 40 years. And that can only mean one thing, right? That it's perfection. So I'm going to work on these tenderloin. When we come back, we'll get them marinated. Start on our garlic and cream sauce, y'all. It's so good. I can't wait for you to see what we're doing with it. This is cooking today. Hi, welcome back. We are making one of my all-time favorite Christmas meals. It's a pork tenderloin. It's a great featured meat to have on your holiday table, especially if you're hosting a crowd. You can make a couple of these, which is actually what I did. Well, this recipe actually makes two, so we actually have two of them. But you could double this. You could even triple it if you have a bigger pan. And it's really, really simple to make. We're going to sear these to get a really good little crust on the outside. And then all we do is tint them and bake them in the oven. It's extremely hands-off. It's really, really simple to do. Great flavor, and it's a little bit of a different, it's a different spin on a holiday table rather than having Thanksgiving and ham again. So what we've got is our two tenderloins, and we've mixed up this marinade in our first segment, and it smells divine. It's a little bit savory, it's a little bit sweet, it's a little garlicky. And then we just have a zip top bag. Remember how I said it would be really great to have, I'm going to do this in the sink because that could be disastrous. But you know how I said it helps to have a bowl with a pour spout for this reason right here. And we want all of that stuff. Like sometimes the garlic will want to stick in the bottom and the shallot. So we want to be sure to get that out. Now, there is our pork. We want to squeeze all the air out really gently. Y'all smell so good. There. Then we want to just give this a little mash around, and be careful, you don't want to break your bag. You may even want to double your bag up, especially if you're going to put it in your fridge, which you should do. So ideally, you could put these in the refrigerator for probably no less than 4 hours is what I like to say, because you really want to get it in there. That salty, that savory, that garlic, that sweet. We want that to get inside the meat. So 4 hours at the least, probably 8 hours at the longest. But that is a very, very, very important step right there, okay? So for the sake of today, I'm just going to set this aside here and let that marinate. We have our oven preheated to 400 because we're going to sear them and then bake them. Easy, easy. Okay, now we are going to make the garlic cream sauce that once we cut our little medallions, we're going to have this beautiful pork tenderloins. We're going to cut them in really beautiful medallions, and you can place them on a pretty platter, or you can just serve, if you're making whole plates, you can serve like just a few on a plate. And then you can do one of two things. You can serve this sauce maybe on the table and people could just kind of spoon it out, or you could just do it for them and it makes such a pretty little drizzle. This is such a rich, Parmesan garlic cream sauce that you don't want to just dunk it like crazy. You just want to have this little tiny taste of it, and it's just this beautiful complementary note to this pork. You're just really going to love this one. And the great thing is this sauce can be made the day before. That pork can be marinated the night before you cook it, and so a lot of that is such good prep when you're having your holiday season. Is anything that you can do in advance, by all means do it. It will make your holiday meal the day when everyone is at your house, makes that a whole lot easier, doesn't it? So I love a recipe that has some steps that you can take early. Okay, so this Parmesan cream sauce begins with mayonnaise, about 3/4 of a cup. Mayonnaise, not the salad dressing, but real honest to goodness mayonnaise. Okay, and then we're going to add to it about 3/4 of a cup of sour cream. And gang, it's the holiday season, so you just go ahead and use your whole ingredients, because January 1st is coming and you can diet then. That's what January 1st is for, right? So go whole mayonnaise, whole sour cream. And then to this, we have some grated Parmesan. Now, normally, I believe in a fresh block of Parm, and you would grate it yourself, but this needs to be, I almost feel like sometimes a cheese grater, even on those smallest holes, those little grates, can't get it fine enough. So I splurge and I get the best quality shaker of grated cheese that I can find and use it in here because it's just easier. Then we're going to do a tablespoon of Dijon mustard. Don't you love these flavors? Gives a little bit of a zing, you know, a little bit spicy. We're going to do a teaspoon of Worcestershire. That's it, just a little savory in there. And then I'm going to mince this garlic. We're going to whisk it up. I'm going to work on this garlic. We'll whisk it when we come back, and then we're going to move to that pork. We're going to get that pretty sear on it, stick it in the oven. That's it. Easy holiday meal. This is cooking today. Hi, welcome back. I'm making this beautiful pork tenderloin today with this garlic cream sauce that we just stirred up. It has Parmesan, it has garlic. It is a little bit tangy from sour cream and really good and rich from mayonnaise. You can, now this is a little bit thick. We kind of like it that way. If you would rather it be something that you can kind of drizzle, you can thin it just the littlest with a little milk until it's just the consistency that you like it. But we've whisked it up. We minced that garlic. I add a little bit of salt to it, and it's really, really good. You're gonna love that. So made this. Cover it. You can put it in your refrigerator for a night or two and get ready, you know, while you're waiting for your meal day to begin. Now we've got our pork. So this pork should marinate for 4 hours to overnight, no less than, okay? And then what you want to do is take the pork out, and what we want to do here is, I've got a little sheet pan. I have a cast iron skillet preheating over medium-high heat because we want to get a really good sear on these. And cast iron is going to get very hot, and that's why we're using it today. We want a great sear. So I have a paper towel doubled up on the bottom of my sheet pan here, and I'm going to take out these tenderloin and let them drain. And then we're going to lay them out right here on this sheet pan. So we just lay those out one at a time, and I'm just letting all that drip off. And the reason we're wanting to let these drip off is because we want a sear. And in order to get a good sear, you really can't have a wet tenderloin laying on your skillet. It really needs to be dried off, so that you get some good drier contact with the pan. And that's what we want, is a little crispy on the outside and tender on the inside. So I'm taking paper towels. I'm even going to get a couple more. And we're going to get these nice and dried off. And the smell of this meat, y'all, that soy, that garlic, it is just so good. Oh my goodness. Okay. So we're going to do these the best we can do them. Get them as dry as we can get them. We just don't want them soaking wet. Okay. Now, I'm going to turn these over and get that yucky one off the bottom. Okay. Oh, goodness. Y'all, this is just good, and it just makes me think about my dad. I can think about my dad right now standing at his kitchen counter making these and making that garlic cream sauce. Don't you just love a food memory, especially around the holiday season? I love it. Now, what we want to do, good salt and pepper around the outside, both front, back, all around, okay? And then we've got our pan preheated. And this is all there is to it. And y'all, we've done this a million times on here. We're going to sear it. We're going to lay it in our hot pan. We're not going to move it. We're not going to budge it. We're going to let it have good contact with the pan. And then, y'all, it's going to get this beautiful crust. It's just that simple. And we've done that a million times. So, so simple. Again, we have our oven preheated to 400. And then we have a sheet pan. Oh, look at our pan. Look. We have this pretty scalloped baking dish. I said sheet pan, but we have this pretty baking dish that once we get a good sear on these, they're going to go in that pretty baking dish that we got at Unimaze, of course, and then it is just going to be perfect for oven to table. Now, resist your urge to pick these up and move them around. We want them to sit still on that side for a couple of minutes, and then we're going to turn it, and then we're going to turn it, and we're going to turn it about 4 times so that all 4 sides get a really good crust, a good sear. And how do you know if you've gotten a good sear? Well, you're going to let that sit, and you're going to let it create that crust, and then when you wedge, you use your tongs, and we're going to wedge it a little bit to see if it releases from the pan. It'll release without any trouble because you've got that good, firm, yummy, crunchy outside. If you get over here to turn that and it's too soon and you don't have a good crust, then it's not going to release and you're going to have to, work on it a little too hard and tug on it too much. It's not ready. So let it stay there. Give it another couple of seconds, 15 seconds, 30 seconds, and it will release and it'll be beautiful. We're going to rotate these 4 times. Roll, 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 roll. We're going to line them up in our pretty baking pan, and we're going to put them in our 400-degree oven and let them bake for about 15 minutes or so. The internal temperature of pork should be 145, and then we're just going to remove it and tin it with foil and let it rest for about 10 minutes. Perfect pork is a little pink, and it's going to be divine. We're going to sear. I'm about to do this little flip here, and we're going to stick it in our pan. That's it. Was that easy or what? All that prep done. So this is cooking today. Come back. Hi, welcome back to Cooking Today. I made my dad's pork tenderloin today with this beautiful garlic cream sauce, a little parm in it. It's so good and tangy and creamy, and it's cool, which is so nice with this delicious, beautiful, oh my goodness, seared pork tenderloin. It's got this fantastic crust on the outside because we spent some time patting off our really good marinade and then giving it a sear on all sides, letting it cook in a hot cast iron skillet for just maybe 1 or 2 minutes on each side to get a good contact with the pan, a good crust. We just rotated it, turned it, each tenderloin until it had a really pretty color all around the outside. Then I just put it in a baking dish and stuck it in an oven, a 400-degree oven, for about 15, 18 minutes. And I took them out and I used my meat thermometer. Now I'll tell you, this thinner one, it actually was done a little sooner, because it's not as thick. This little fat guy took another minute or so, but I just checked them, pulled them out, covered them with foil, and let them sit for about 10 minutes. And then we just sliced them into these beautiful, usually like maybe a ½ inch. You don't want them paper thin. We want it to be a really great bite. It's a little bit pink. It's perfectly cooked on the inside. It's savory and delicious on the outside. And then we're just gonna put these up on a pretty plate. Look at that. I'm saving that end piece for myself. And then we're gonna do a little drizzle of this garlic cream sauce. Just a bite. It doesn't need to be a lot. It just needs to be a nice, tangy, cool accent. Top it with chopped chives for some color, and we're gonna put some beautiful green beans right beside this. An easy, wonderful, savory, creamy holiday meat. I hope that you will try this at home and love every bite. This is Cooking Today.